Pumpkin, hello honey bunny, I'm your dumpling. Hello honey bunny, feeling something. Hello
आइडिया है तो फोन विल रिंग.
You're my pumpkin.
कश्मीर से कन्याकुमारी तक फोन विल रिंग.
Dumpling. Hello honey bunny, feeling something. Hello honey bunny, tongo.
What a network.
Ring. Hello honey bunny.
I ain't no ordinary man. I lead no ordinary life. I see what I see and I am what I am. I ain't no ordinary man.
Command attention with India's first premium 125cc bike. New TVS Phoenix 125. Ride premium class.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
At what point did you decide to start exporting software? At what point did you start deciding to tap overseas
We
markets?
started very early exporting software, so we moved into US and other markets very early. Maybe a bit too early. We spent a lot of money out there without realizing how to make
So
the
what are
best
some
use
of
of
those
it.
pitfalls? There are many SME owners sitting in the audience today. What are some of the pitfalls that you faced when you first went international?
Yeah, first is we underestimate the power of channels and overestimate the power of direct sales. So selling an Indian sitting in Chennai to USA doesn't make a salesperson.
So look for channel partners.
If you're into products, you look for channel partners who could sell for you. And that's lesson number one. Second is you need to brand a lot more. If you are a product company, you need to pay enormous attention to branding. If you see somebody like Salesforce, despite being so big, they spend about 50% on marketing. And Indian companies typically will spend 2-3% on marketing. So we need to spend a lot more on brand building. Never underestimate the power of brand. Use channels and leverage the power of the intellectual property through channels. Third is usability of the software has to be a lot more better. What works in India may not work in US. It has to be incredibly easy to use. We don't mind keying in some extra keystrokes because the manpower is cheap here. In US, you need to anticipate and fill automatically whatever forms we can fill. So there's a lot of psychological difference in what the way software needs to be thought of, user interface needs to be thought of. So what works here may not necessarily work there. So it has to be designed for there, tested for there, and possibly involving a focus group of customers from US.
Next question for Dr. Ranga once again. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Mr. Agarwal. What are some of the pitfalls that SME businesses are likely to make, pharma companies in particular and life sciences companies?
One of the biggest things which you got to take care of is there is no shortcut. There is no shortcut to production. You need to ensure that you go through the procedure and maintain your quality.
Okay.
You cannot deliver inconsistent quality. You got to be delivering consistent quality and at the right time. I think these are the two major things. And last but not the least, I would say you got to have a good packaging for the product. You cannot cut short on your packing. You cannot say that, can I do away with something to improve the
It has to be international quality.
It has to be of international quality.
And
whether it's raw material, packing material, the product has to be of international quality and it has to be of consistent quality.
do you see a lot of Indian SMEs playing that game of creating international quality products?
Oh, sure. There are a lot of Indian small companies. I mean, in fact, the number of players who do somewhere around about 100 crores to 150 crores exports is plenty.
Okay.
And the beauty is these people have succeeded very well in the export market. And when they've tried their hand in the domestic market, they've failed.
Because the
quite
two games
miserably.
are completely...
The two games are totally different, yeah.
Okay.
And they've mastered it very well, I must say.
I'm going to throw that same question to our banker once again, Vijay Chandok. Vijay, this export game versus domestic game, as a banker, how do you advise SME clients? How do you advise SME borrowers when they come to you for mentorship?
When companies are actually looking to export, they are naturally exposing themselves to certain types of risks which is not there in the domestic business. Notably, you're exposing yourself to a set of clients. So it's important to who are supposed to pay you once they buy. So it's important to be picky and choosy about whom you're dealing with. That said, I think they're also exposed to currency risks because generally these are dollar denominated and they've got to keep in the context of exchange movements, be sure as to whether their margins are protected. So it's important to provide the hedging tools that are there to protect themselves against currency movements.
Now these risks exist, the recovery of sales proceeds, currency risks, but sometimes it's also compounded by political or regulatory risk. If SMEs in this room are trying to explore markets in the pharma sector in Latin America or Africa, what is the specific advice for them?
See, risks will exist in business. You can't run away from them. I think what an SME can do really is to make a good choice of customer that they are dealing with. It's sometimes you can get carried away based on orders.
Make a good choice of country.
More than country, I would say that go behind the customer, the underlying customer, I believe is more important. So I think that itself to a large extent mitigates the risks that come with dealing with these overseas clients. Then there are again tools that are available. Banking system makes these tools available. These are in form of letters of credit, so that you're not exposed to receivable risks, which typically is a big risk that these customers get exposed to. And then there are other tools like insurance against receivables. The ECGC provides these insurance covers. So these are things that companies can explore. In addition to that, also there are possibilities of doing a sale of the receivable, in terms of either discounting it or selling those receivables upfront, so that you get the cash, and then you're sort of hedged away from the risk of mitigation. I think these are some of the tools that we as bankers provide, but you can't run away from the fundamental risks. You can at best mitigate it.
You can at best mitigate it. I'm going to Chris Moore. I'm going to change subjects from pharma to IT once again. Dr. Moore, what are British companies looking for when they're looking at SME companies in India, small and medium enterprises? Are they looking to acquire, partner, and what are they looking for in Indian companies?
I think to have something that is distinct, that is unique, that is scalable.
And even if I'm a service company, not necessarily a product company.
If you're not a product company and if you're a service company, then having an offering that is robust, that is affordable, that provides a service in an area that is perhaps not being as addressed right now in other markets. And also being able to identify a suitable partner in the UK that you can work with. And again, that's where we can help.
The vanguard of Indian companies acquiring British companies has been the Tata Group with both Chorus and Jaguar Land Rover. There were some murmurs of cultural issues, which is a polite euphemism for saying you're going to have a UK company with an Indian boss, and conversely an Indian company with a UK boss or a Serbian boss or a Russian boss. And in this globalized world, this is going to increasingly happen.
Yes.
And also, you can't wish away the cultural issues that come with this. Any advice for the SMEs in the audience in dealing with the so-called cultural issues that are going to crop up?
I mean, all I can do is, I think, point to London as a really good example, because in London there are more than 200 nationalities. It is a truly international and multicultural city, and there are more than 250 languages spoken. So already the business background indicates that any company that is going to be international with entrepreneurs from wherever around the world is certainly going to be a good fit. I think beyond that, to be very specific in answering your question, what kind of advice? I think to do the homework, to find out what the business environment is like, to ask for advice, to ask for support. Again, UK Trade and Investment can help with that. But also, it's making the most of what's available in the other market. So networking groups, positioning, and trying to get the input and the right kind of data before you make the business decisions.
Mr. Rothman, would you be in agreement that the current slowdown in the US, and I'm sure it's on the road to recovery, but the slowdown does exist, this represents a huge opportunity for Indian SMEs to perhaps acquire US businesses or to acquire assets of the US businesses?
Yes, in fact, that's already happening. I think in the last few years there's been a great deal of interest by Indian SMEs and Indian larger groups, of course, to acquire assets in the US, and I think there's never been a better time to do that.
And of course, acquisition is very exciting, but also fraught with pitfalls. Some of the pitfalls that you've seen of Indian SMEs acquiring businesses too soon, paid too much, didn't do enough due diligence.
I don't think acquiring a business in the US is any different from acquiring one in India. I think you have to do your homework, you have to do your due diligence, you have to make sure you're getting the right deal, you have to make sure that the acquisition that you're looking at actually fits into your strategy properly. But I think the positive thing is that in the US there's a great deal of transparency, so that if you are looking to acquire a property or acquire a company, there wouldn't be much that's hidden. There would be a great deal of information to help you make a rational decision as far as what you pay. It would be easy to do your due diligence and find out if there are any other problems existing. It's easy to analyze the market and and find out what you need to find out.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.
हाय अंकल, म्यूजिक बंद नहीं होगा, तुझे जो करना है वो कर ले। थैंक यू। बंद क्यों किया? अबे यार एसएमएस आया है। क्या? 2-3 मिनट का इंटरनेट बाकी है। पार्टी की तो।
ओ सेनापति, सुना ना? अब जा खड़ूस अंकल को सॉरी बोल और उनके वाईफाई का पासवर्ड लेके आ।
अरे यार क्या बात कर रहे हैं? जाना यार।
गाइस वैसे इंटरनेट टॉपअप भी हो सकता है। टॉपअप डन।
They surge ahead with a firm belief that a greater destiny awaits. One breaks forth with courage, pushing the boundary to create history.